Hey everyone, it's Alex from the PCRI. Today I'm sitting down with Mike Crosby. He is the founder and CEO of Veterans Prostate Cancer Awareness, and he's going to talk about the work that he's doing for the veteran population of prostate cancer patients. So it's going to be an incredible story because we have a lot to talk about today. I hope you find this video educational. What would you say is the number one problem that veterans are facing today besides education?
Really, it's the standardization of screening across the VA. I mean, if we leave education out, it's really and I think that this disease, my own opinion is we should never get to a metastatic state. We should never have metastatic disease patients on first diagnosis. I mean, there should be a way to screen, and when we have this incredibly large integrated healthcare system, and when we talk about national healthcare systems, we all need to be looking at the VA because, as of today, there's 9 million vets inside that system. 7 million men over the age of 40. I mean, this is our market that we look at. We know all of these guys. There's been studies done by Dr. Shelton and Dr. Lynch about identifying every single one of these veterans. So we know the entire market. We probably know their zip code and address, right? The problem has been educating the entire system on the advantages of screening and finding this disease early. As we all know, if you find it early, you have a 99.9% chance of cure.
Can you go ahead and, discuss with the audience, we've talked about this off camera, but, when you talk about screening, you're not including biopsies. So where is the cutoff point for you?
It's our belief that screening, and we really try to promote this, is that screening stops at prior to a biopsy. Screening is education up front, is knowing that you should have this discussion with your physician, and that when does that discussion start? Well, it can start anytime. I mean, it doesn't matter. It should be part of an annual physical. It takes 2 or 3 minutes just to discuss that you've got one, right? So really the PSA screenings, which we have available today, we know there's new technologies coming and that sort of thing, but today, if you know your risks, like if you know you're either African American, it's hereditary in your family, or we want to categorize veterans because of their exposure to hazardous materials and hazardous surroundings, right? So that's the reason why. So we're seeing a jump in the numbers in the VA. So the screening starts with just that basic education. Like, what are we doing? What is a prostate? How do you spell it? That sort of thing. Then you go to the discussion with your doctor, right? And then he does your examination. Today it's a PSA and a DRE. Both are incredibly important. They need to be done annually, probably from the VA population around the age of 40 starting, and do that annually just because of our exposure to hazardous materials. And then that's where it stops. That's the end of screening. Once we decide that between the doctor and the patient that it's time for a biopsy, something has projected forward and that there's enough evidence to actually do a biopsy, that now turns into a procedure. And I think it should be treated as a procedure. That's the first line procedure that you're going to do. Everything else before that is all continual screening and education about your health and about what you're doing and how can you prolong that decision to go to a biopsy. That ought to be an objective for every man is, if you're in that higher risk area, surely you should know about this. If you're not, you need to know that it's going to come about at some point in time, and that you need to be aware of it. And then that's the screening component of things.
So you mentioned navigating the VA system. If you had to give the top 3 tips for navigating the VA system for a prostate cancer patient who's a veteran and is new to this situation, or even a caregiver, what would you say?
Call us. It's number one.
The number's on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Yeah, number's right here on the bottom of the screen. Call us because it's becoming more complex. We are trying to provide educational materials for the entire ecosystem. One is the patient, right? So patient-focused educational materials. One is that where do they fall in the staging? Like PCRI's blue staging techniques are incredible. They're great. They match up with NCCN guidelines. They talk about where you go, and I think that's one of the tools that we use. We try to promote that because it's easily accessible. It's click, there it is. You can download whichever piece that you want, and then off you go. The other is NCCN has been a big supporter of ours, and we like to and we support them. It is a guideline that we can actually get behind and we can stand for. I mean, we can push it in that it's a default, right? Because The VA will tell you sometimes they have different situations or whatever, whether they're dealing with different resources, right? They don't all have the same capabilities that some private practice might have. Our job is to also educate the physicians in there that if a patient comes in and he's asking for a specific type of biopsy because he's educated himself and he's advocating for himself, that's one of the things we help. One of our taglines is advocate for yourself. You have to. You're a patient. You've got to get smart. You have to advocate for this thing. And if you learn the benefits, what that's doing is we're actually we're helping to connect the community with the physicians. So the practice now, if the physicians, the doctors start to look at these community care network, other facilities as actually additional resources to aid them in their care for this patient, that's how this is all going to start to work, and it's going to start to work better. And that's one of the things that we do push. And there's guidelines that we've developed that help both the patient to go through that system. We also promote and we try to recruit good qualified clinics out in private industry to join up to be a supporter of veterans and of the VA population that needs this extra care. We don't have enough radiation devices. There's only 42 sites in the entire VA that can do radiation treatment. Okay, so that leaves 130 sites that don't have radiation. The patients don't have that option if they stay within the VA, but they have an option now to go outside. So we're working to sign up and to contract, get all of the radiation sources in those cities to sign up to be able to treat these patients or to give them that option, because majority of the radiation centers all have additional MRIs, PET CT scanners. They've got all these other advanced devices, and now with PSMA coming along and with the high precision imaging that's going on, the VAs don't have all of that equipment. It's not available. So to accelerate that cooperation, we try to work with both the private industry and also the VAs to connect these people. Have a networking event, do something. We'll put it on. We'll sponsor it to bring all these physicians together to basically educate them that they do have these additional resources and they can access this technology. For a patient, it becomes overwhelming. I mean, you don't know which way to go. So we try to break it down into single page or front and back guides that we can give to a patient and say, here's how you navigate this. And if they have a problem, we're becoming overwhelmed. We don't have enough people to answer all the questions. So we're looking at, partnering with PCRI to have, to educate their call centers to basically say, here's a veteran's approach to things. I mean, this is some guidelines or some places to go for these resources. And really that's what it's all about, is just providing people the educational tools and educating them and giving them the resources to try to navigate it. And it's not difficult if you just start asking the question.
That's great advice. I mean, I think PCRI, we're very excited to partner together and join this. You've mentioned the Mission Act a couple times. So can you explain to the audience what that is? And then if they do want to go outside the VA system, how would they access that funding?
So the Mission Act, is really the formal name is the Mission Act of 2018. And it was a law that was signed into or an act signed into law in June of 2018 that did a lot of things for the VA. It provided a lot of infrastructure funding for rebuilding and upgrading capabilities and technologies in the VAs and just really bringing the infrastructure up to speed. It provided for an increase in pay for the physicians that were all still underpaid. But it also provided for this money that we used to have the Choice Act, which was this emergency funds out of the Phoenix VA issues and the waiting times and deaths because of waiting and scheduling and all these other sorts of things, this emergency that was put in place. That sunset, the Mission Act took care, and it got rid of the Choice Act and it replaced it with what's called Community Care Network. The Community Care Network now is funded at $100 billion of taxpayer money to be expended over 6 years. And it's so about $16 billion a year. There are two companies that are payers, basically. Think of them as insurance providers. One is OptumServe, which handles most of the East Coast of the United States. And then the second one is TriWest, which handles most of the West Coast. Differentiation between this TriWest and TRICARE. TRICARE is totally different. This is not TRICARE. TRICARE is for retired military, and you're on a separate plan, and it's run again by the government. But TriWest is a commercial company that handles about $50 billion of that $100 billion for outside care for veterans. Now, to qualify, there's two different qualifications. One is the commercial organizations or medical centers, commercial clinics. You go through it's a very simple 1 or 2 hour sign up, just like you would with any other insurance company. And there are just specifics that you have to abide by when you're taking government money, because this is money not managed by the VA, but managed by these payers. So you sign a contract with the payer, and there are certain conditions, like you've got to return the treatment files before you get paid and some other things. Because it's supposed to be a temporary service, right? You're supposed to be augmenting the capabilities of the local VA. And so you augment them with a service, and then you return the patient back to the VA. The patients, to qualify, there's a lot of criteria that were left into the law that was 40 miles and 30 days scheduling time. If you couldn't do that, you were referred out. But they put in two kind of catch-alls. One is if that VA center does not have the technology available to it, and it's FDA approved, then it's being used in private practice, the doctor and you can refer out. Or the real catch-all is if you and the doctor decide that it's in your best interest to be outsourced for that specific care, he has the ability to refer you out.
So can you share with the audience, like, the awareness projects you're doing, who you're teaming up with, and what this year looks like for you?
We've decided to follow the model of PCRI, is that we're going to do 2 major events every year that we host, and we're going to host them on aircraft carriers. So there's 5 aircraft carrier museums in the United States. Our first one is going to be February 4th in San Diego on the USS Midway. And the name of the gala, it's going to be a nice event, and it's called Make Blue the New Pink. We're doing this to raise awareness around the increase in the disease state generally and around the world, around the globe, in that prostate cancer cases our diagnosis and deaths are catching up and even surpassing breast cancer. In the UK last year, it was reported that it surpassed breast cancer, and we know that general trend is about the same in the United States. Nobody talks about it. Nobody wants to address it. Every time, and I would challenge everybody that's listening to this, you know exactly what the message is when you see pink, someone wearing pink, or you see a pink sign or a football player wearing pink socks. You know exactly what that message is. We think it's time to make blue the new pink. So when you see light blue, you know exactly what the message is. And so that's our goal for this next year, and that's one. We're going to be at 3 major defense trade shows in Washington, D.C. These are events that the pharmaceutical industry and the health industry doesn't go to. These are where our defense industry promotes their wares and their programs to our own defense forces and our ministries of defense, our Defense Department and foreign ministries of defense. So we're going to be there, and we're promoting prostate cancer awareness to the veteran population. We know that looking at their demographics, they have about 30,000 veterans that attend these shows every year. And there's 3 major ones. There's Navy, Air Force, and the Army. And so they have a large constituency of veterans, and we will be there. That's our target audience. So those are big events that we're going to do. We'll also be at all of the standard medical events, the ASCO, the AUA shows, ASCO GUs, LUGPAs, and those kind of events. And we're actually promoting some new software that we developed called Prostate Cancer Health Storylines. And this is a patient-facing application that actually can connect into the clinics of urologists or oncologists and give them a dashboard and actually produce patient-reported outcomes in real time. It's integrated with all your wearables. It's integrated with the health, or you can put it into your EMR systems if you want to. And what it's doing is it's providing real-time updates for assistance with things like medication adherence, also for earlier intervention in toxic events, post-procedural type of things. It also helps patients with reporting any kind of toxicity that they're having or any kind of problems that they're having.
I downloaded that app. It's very well designed. It's very impressive.
Thank you very much. And we did that because honestly, when you get bored during COVID, you kind of think of different things, and so we thought up of this application.
Thank God you got bored.
Well, because we looked at the industry, and there was a lot of apps out there, but they were always one way. They always just wanted your information. That's all they wanted. They wanted you to put in your information, but nothing ever came back, and there was no way to communicate through these things. So we felt that there was a big gap in the marketplace. And friends of ours and big supporters up in Toronto that are a big software firm. They have about 27 applications in healthcare outside there. They actually are doing one for PTSD in the veteran community in Palo Alto. They're in a big clinical trial with some software, and it's making a difference. Because what's happening is the doctors can put in warning systems, like they can put in warning and alerts and nudges, so that if they don't see you reporting, the system will automatically nudge you to take your drugs. If you miss, you're not pushing your button, taking your pill. Well, it'll nudge you because we all know that these oral oncology drugs and things like that are critical to take them on time, at the right time, every day. And having gone through this, it makes a difference if you miss one, right? And so you don't want to miss it. If they miss, they can put warnings in, so they miss 2 or 3 days, the system will nudge you automatically, but it'll also send a warning to the clinic. And then if they miss a couple more days, the clinic can just pick up the phone and call you. They can either call through the app, or they've got your number, they can just dial you up. And what we're finding is people are feeling more included in their healthcare. They're feeling like healthcare system is actually reaching out to them and caring for their health. I mean, it's a strange thing because we, in the United States, when we say healthcare, it's typically we have to be involved and engaged giving things to the doctors, right? And to the clinics, because they've got hundreds of patients, right? This is one tool that we're finding a lot of acceptance in because the clinics are reaching back out to the patients and asking, how are you? You're not taking your meds, are you okay? Are you having side effects? Are you just forgetting? Or what's the problem? Or what do we need to do? So you can see the trend of you're going to have a lot more earlier interventions in these guys' care. And so that's going to help us with outcomes. It's going to help save some money. It's going to help get guys better outcomes and be cured in sooner periods of time and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, we're very proud of that. And so we're really promoting it. We're trying to put it into a number of VAs under some trials so that they can play with it and see how it's going. But we're getting guys to sign up on it, so thank you for helping us promote that.
Yeah, definitely. The link to the app will also be in the description. Yeah, everything you need for this video is in the description. Click that little read more button.
That's right.
Thank you so much for being here, sharing all those resources. I mean, all the work that you guys are doing is not only incredible, but it's on a pretty large scale. I mean, working with 172 VA centers is no small feat. But, I think that one of the things with PCRI and our mission this year is to really make all of our audience aware of the different prostate cancer resources outside of PCRI. And so, you with this veteran population, we're really excited to partner with you on this. And if you guys would like to donate, you can go ahead and visit veteransprostatecancer.org. And the donate link will be in the description below. And we just really appreciate you, Mike. Thank you so much for being here. If you guys would like more information about prostate cancer, you can also visit PCRI.org as well. Have a great week.